Hi, welcome to Reddit, a channel dedicated to scary, creepy and paranormal on Askreddit. In today's episode, serious, Redditors who spend a lot of time working in isolation, research stations etc. What are your creepiest experiences? Worked overnights as a master control operator in my youth. One night, around 3 a.m. I catch sight of the camera we have aimed at the back door and there's someone standing there wearing a scream mask staring at the camera and not moving. I go to the back door, magnetic sealed and a deadbolt for overnight, door is next to impossible to force open, and look out the peephole and there's no one there. Head back to control and see them walk back into frame, wave at the camera and then walk away. Called the cops, they found nothing and the camera doesn't record, live feed only. I spent some time in a monitorized room with nothing but a mattress and a toilet in there, officially in a psych ward for troubled teens but that was more like prison. After 2 days already of just laying there on the mattress you just feel how you lose your mind. You feel that paranoia cause everything you do is on camera. Pointing straight down at you while sleeping, while taking a crap. That's was when you realize that you can actually lose your mind, is when you will appreciate sanity. So my major has a computer lab that is 2 stories underground. I have spent countless hours using these computers and I have spent nights down in what us students call the dungeon. One night, around 2 a.m., I went down the hall to go get some water. The lights use motion sensors. As I was filling my water bottle, at the end of the hall the last light turned on. So there was this dark gap between me and this last light way down the hall. I was mildly creeped out but then I saw something move in the darkness between me and the light. I proceeded to nope my way home promptly. I have a workspace as an old former madhouse, built by monks, which had been turned into a hospital for SS personnel in World War II. Lots of spooky history. A huge building with long hallways and a stern 1920s architecture. Brick archways, ugly sculptures of dead monks. I usually work late, until 3 in the morning, and I am usually the last person to leave the building. One night in winter, I locked my room and went to the exit. All the lights were off, the wind was howling. Suddenly I heard the sound of running footsteps in the distance. Lots of running footsteps. And then it was quiet again. I went down some stairs and there I saw little red lights blinking on the other side of a long dark hallway, just for a moment, then they were gone. I was pretty freaked out at this point. I walked faster in the direction of the exit. Then I heard those running footsteps again. I turned a corner and suddenly a bunch of kids were screaming in my face. Almost had a heart attack. Turned out the kids were playing laser tag. They borrowed the keys to the building from one of their parents. They had these laser guns with red lights to shoot each other with and were chasing each other through the dark building. They thought the building was deserted and almost crapped themselves when this big guy in a trench coat suddenly appeared in front of them. Smile. I work as a one-to-one in a hospital, pretty much just watch to make sure the PT doesn't rip out their tubes, and I was working nights, so it's basically a patient and myself in a dark room. One night I was with a patient in a double room but the other bed was empty. Though I couldn't see the other bed because a curtain divided to the beds for privacy. Middle of the night the nurse came in and asked if I needed anything cause my call bell light was on. I then told her that I never pressed the button and it turned out it was the bell from the empty bed. The nurse just said oh that's creepy and just left. I was freaked out the rest of the night lol. Worked overnights at 2 different 24-hour residential treatment centers for teens. AKA, poltergeist soup. We, staff and clients, would see and hear things/people during the middle of the night, almost every night. I remember when I worked at a drug and alcohol rehab facility, it used to be a nunnery attached to a church. I used to hear women singing through our speaker that communicated with our doorbell for visiting hours. I could see through the window of the door from where I would be sitting, and there was never anything there. I have a bunch more, those places were full of weird crap. Not so much working in isolation, but when I lived in residence at school, I would wait until 2 or 3 a.m. to shower because it was the only time there weren't other people in the bathroom. The residence building I was living in used to be a psychiatric residence for children, so I was always kind of spooked walking around at night. One night, I was showering at 3 a.m. and very clearly saw the shadow of a person reaching towards the middle of the shower curtain. I immediately slid it open, but there was no one there. I don't work in extreme seclusion but I can go days without seeing anyone. I do real estate photography so I'm going in and out of strange houses all day almost always vacant. I've had a ton of weird experiences and encounters with squatters but the creepiest was a badly fire-damaged house I shot. The owner was a flipper and asked me to go get before photos. Before he hung up he mentioned the previous owner killed herself in the house during the fire. I get there and the house is severely burnt and has no electricity so the only light is my flashlight. I walk into the bathroom and immediately know where and how this woman killed herself. Here are the photos of what I saw. I work in a liquor store. I do closing shifts alone for several hours in the shop until 10:30 or so. I'll regularly be in the cooler and hear footsteps in there with me. That's pretty much nightly. Also, one time I was counting down my till well after closing and heard a bottle clank somewhere in the store. Walked over and found a bottle of wine standing upright on the floor in the middle of the aisle. I had just done my nightly walkthrough to make sure all shelves were in order. I had also just mopped the floor. The tiles were still wet without a single footprint leading up to or away from the bottle. I logged into the CCTV system and started looking back through the past 30 minutes for that particular aisle. Nothing. At one point that particular camera just blipped out, and when it came back the bottle was there. Thank you all magnificent people. Leave your own comment and stories below. If you enjoy the video, considering subscribe. I pubic video every day. Until then, check out my other video.